I realized something recently that really hit me hard. I used to think that the big failures, the stuff that ruins reputation and ends marriages, happened all at once. I thought they were like sudden boss fights that just appeared out of nowhere. But I'm learning now that's not how it works. Strong men don't usually collapse in a single moment. They are eroded over time by things that feel completely insignificant in the moment. It's the small compromises. It's the just this once, and it's not that big of a deal. Think about a game like Elden Ring or any large RPG, right? You don't usually lose because of one massive hit that you saw coming, right? You lose because you let your health get chipped away by tiny, annoying enemies, right? You take a little bit of a chip to your damage through your shield. You ignore a status effect like poison or scarlet rot because the bar fills up slowly. And before you know it, you're at the 10% health and the actual boss hasn't even showed up yet, right? This happens a lot, especially in Elden Ring, in Caelid. I really don't like that place. And that's how life works. You let that chip damage destroy your integrity before we even face the real test. Now, for me, this shows up in the most basic ways. It starts with my diet, which I've mentioned before. I tell myself just one snack outside of my plan, it won't hurt. Then I tell myself, skipping one gym session to sleep in or to play video games, it's self care. And pretty soon my discipline is just non existent. And I'm wondering, like, why I feel so weak and out of control. It's a slow fade. Maybe for you, it's a small lie to your boss or a harmless click on a website you know that you shouldn't be visiting. We think we can keep these things in a box, but the Bible says something very different about how compromise works. In Song of Solomon 2 verse 15 says, "Catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that spoil the vineyards." It's not the giant bears or the lions that ruin the harvest. It's the little foxes that sneak under the fence. They're small, they're cute, they don't look dangerous, but they eat the roots. When we make small compromises with our character, we aren't just doing one bad thing. We're letting the little foxes dig into the roots of who we are. Now, I used to think that as long as I was mostly good, I was fine. But I'm realizing that trying to play a game with a controller that has just a tiny bit of stick drift, at first you barely notice it, but as the game goes on and the precision required goes up, that tiny compromise in your hardware makes the game unplayable. You can't hit your target. You can't move where you want to go. A man with stick drift is in his character will eventually miss the most important shots in his life. Now, the world tells us that everything in moderation is key, but you can't have that poison in moderation. You can't have compromise in moderation. In James 1:14 verse 5, verse 14 to 15 it explains these mechanics perfectly, right? But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire. Then desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. It's a progression. It's a leveling system, but you're leveling up the wrong skill. Every small compromise is an experience point put into a version of yourself that you're eventually going to hate. Now, I'm learning that I'm learning that the how of staying strong is actually about being extreme with the little things. It's about realizing that there is no such thing as a small compromise. If you can't be trusted to stay consistent with your diet when nobody's looking, why would I trust myself to be a man of integrity when the stakes are actually high? If I can't keep a promise to myself to get out of bed when the alarm goes off, how can I be a man who keeps his word to his family and to God? Now, this is something that I'm still struggling with. I still find myself trying to negotiate with my own standards. I'll think like, I worked hard today. I deserve to slack off on this one thing. But that's the trap. That's the lure that James was talking about. Real strength isn't about being perfect. It's about refusing to negotiate with the things that aren't meant to protect you. It's about keeping your walls high even against the little foxes. The big picture here is identity. When we compromise, we're telling ourselves a story that we aren't actually the men who we claim to be. We're telling ourselves that our convenience is more important than our convictions. Eventually, you stop believing in yourself. You lose the player agency in your own life. You feel like a spectator watching a character that you don't even like, you don't even like the choices you don't even want. But here's the hope in the pivot, right? Just as small compromises destroy us, small wins can also rebuild us. Zechariah 4 verse 10 says, "Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin." Every time you choose the hard path in a small moment, you're repairing a hole in your wall. Every time you say no to the chip damage, you're building up your resistance. You're recalibrating your controller. I know it sounds extreme. I know it feels like I'm making a big deal out of nothing. But I've seen what happens to men who let the little things slide for 20 years. They end up in places they never thought they would be, wondering how they got there. Now, I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for you. I want us to be men who are solid all the way through, not just on the surface, but in the dark, in the small moments, and in the insignificant choices. Now, your quest for this week is to identify one little fox in your life. What is the small compromise that you've been making? Maybe it's a habit, a thought pattern, or a shortcut that you take. This week, we stop negotiating. We catch the fox, we mend the wall. It's a grind, and it's not always going to be fun. But it's the only way to become the man that God designed you to be. We're building something here, one uncompromised brick at a time. So thanks for being on this journey with me. I'm still figuring this all out alongside you. Let's stay watchful, and I'll see you in the next one.